An Israeli airstrike kills 3 people and injures 54 more in the southern Lebanese town of Qana. Israeli occupation forces state that a barrage of around 30 rockets were identified crossing from Lebanon. And the UNRWA Commissioner General says that around 70% of the infrastructure in Gaza has been destroyed due to Israeli aggression. It's 8 p.m. Cairo local time and you are now watching Q News. Let's start our bulletin with the latest developments in Lebanon.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
Rescuers have been looking through the ruins of the southern Lebanese town of Qana after Israeli strikes hit the area. It has been said that the strikes killed 3 people and injured 54 more. Rubble from the destroyed municipal headquarters in Nabatea, southern Lebanon, has filled the streets after an Israeli airstrike collapsed the whole building. The attack marks the biggest Israeli hit on a Lebanese state building in the provincial capital since it launched its offensive 2 weeks ago. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati condemned the attack, stating that the intentionally targeted a meeting of the municipal council to discuss the city's service and relief situation. Israeli occupation forces have stated that the barrage of around 30 rockets were identified crossing from Lebanon. They noted that the majority of the projectiles were intercepted by the Israeli air defense systems over the town of Malut Tashia, coinciding with air raid sirens. Israeli medical services said 4 people were wounded by shrapnel from a direct rocket strike in Majd al-Kurm. The Lebanese health minister and the head of the Red Cross in Lebanon have announced the inauguration of a new trauma center at Rafiq al-Hariri University Hospital. Health Minister Firas al-Abyad emphasized in a press conference that the center, which is prepared and equipped by the Red Cross, has the capacity to treat over 20 wounded individuals at once. Now let's go to Salma Marwan in our newsroom for more analysis. Over to you, Salma.
Thank you, Karim. For further insights on the escalating situation in Lebanon, joining us is Fadi Lusaidan, Vice President of the Lebanese Red Cross. Mr. Fadi, welcome to Q News. Thank you for joining us to provide us with your inputs on the matter. First off, hello, sir. First off, what are the latest developments in the humanitarian situation in Lebanon and the Gaza Strip?
Concerning the humanitarian, we were preparing a plan and it's working with close relationship with the government and the different sector related to the different organization in Lebanon. But the situation is very delicate because the issues that are running so fast. You know, it's displacing 1/4 of the Lebanese people from the south to be dispatched in different area in Lebanon. It's a really huge issue. Imagine if you displace half of Cairo, okay, or not half, 1/4 of Cairo to the other side of Cairo, how it will be the mass. So it's nothing really easy to handle, but we are doing fine. We find the places to be located, mainly in the schools, public school. All the public schools are open. A lot of villages, they open their houses to welcome those people. They are in need to have a place, house, to have some food, some even some clothes. And from the Red Cross, we are offering all the services concerning medical, medicines, assistance, even for the children to be followed up. We have a lot of cases concerning the psychological issue of the event and affects a lot of people.
Now, shedding light on the international community, what does Lebanon need from the international community to address the humanitarian crisis in the country due to the Israeli aggression?
Actually, we need all this kind of donation. We are in need of medicines, medical equipment. We have a lot of hospitals that were attacked and they are not on use anymore. So we need to find a replacement for it. We need even mattresses for all those people. We are getting more and more, but we're still in needs. Soon it's getting, the cold weather will be starting in Lebanon. This is another issue. We need to find a solution, how to heat all those schools, all the area where they are located on, and to offer the kind of comfort for those people in needs.
Now, in light of the mass displacement we're witnessing, what are the latest statistics provided by the Red Cross in Lebanon regarding displaced people and the needs of hospitals as well?
Listen, we are doing, if you want, a kind of statistic from the like the way the emergency medical service we offer. We are doing since concerning the war only around 1,200 mission. Okay, till now, we are moving a lot of wounded people, around 350. Only concerning the war, I'm insisting on it, not the others people in need to be displaced or others. We are assisting all the hospitals by moving different people, around 500, 600 persons. We are distributing, for example, the blood, because we are running the blood bank in Lebanon. So we are distributing our 2,000 units concerning related to the people in need because of the war. We are offering social activities and medical activities. They are huge, We are talking about thousands and thousands of services we are offering. Every day we are distributing around 20,000 meals per day in different areas of Lebanon.
Lastly, Mr. Fadi, if you could provide us with a message from the Red Cross to the international community in order to address the humanitarian crisis in Lebanon.
Can you repeat, please? It was cutting.
Of course. If you could provide us with a message from the Red Cross to the international community in order to address the humanitarian crisis in Lebanon.
As I mentioned, now we are welcoming all the donations with different kind of donation. We need their assistance. Of course, we aim that the war will stop today before tomorrow. Okay, this is our aim, and to manage the disaster we are getting. So all the different donation from cash or even equipment or medicine, medical, we are in need. So even we need an ambulance. We need all those material who help us to be operational on the floor.
That was Fadi Al-Saidan, Vice President of the Lebanese Red Cross. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we're going to move back to Karim for more news and developments around the world.
Thank you. That was Salma Marwan from our newsroom. An Israeli strike has struck Beirut's southern suburb for the first time in 5 days. The Israeli Forces Arabic spokesperson Avichai Adrai said that the Air Force was targeting a building in the area of Dahia. It's the first strike near the capital since 2 attacks killed 22 people in a densely populated neighborhood on October 10th. Lebanese security sources have reported that the mayor of Nabatea, Ahmed Kahil, was also killed in the Israeli airstrike on a municipal building in Nabatea. According to the report, Mayor Ahmed Kahil was killed among a number of municipal council members who were inside the targeted building at the time of the raids. On the other side, the Israeli military said it struck dozens of Hezbollah targets in Nabatea and dismantled underground infrastructure. Lebanon's Prime Minister Najib Mikati has condemned the latest Israeli aggression targeting civilians in the city of Nabatea. Mikati said that the attack deliberately struck a municipal council meeting focused on addressing the city's relief and service needs. Mikati added that the latest Israeli aggression, along with the ongoing crimes committed by Israel against civilians, is a direct challenge to the international community, whose silence only emboldens the occupation to continue its violations and crimes. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badra Abdel-Ati has announced that an Egyptian aid plane has arrived in Beirut airport to support Lebanon in light of the ongoing Israeli aggression. Abdel-Ati added during a joint press conference with his Spanish counterpart José Manuel Alvarez that Egypt condemns any targeting of UNIFIL forces in southern Lebanon and calls for the implementation of UN Resolution 1701. The two ministers condemned the Israeli operations in Lebanon, which have resulted in the displacement of more than 1.2 million Lebanese civilians. As the conflict in Lebanon intensifies, mass displacement leaves families in overcrowded shelters struggling for essentials like food and clean water amidst a deepening humanitarian crisis.
As the ongoing conflict in Lebanon triggers a wave of massive displacement, humanitarian organizations are reporting alarming conditions, with many families now living in overcrowded shelters and lacking access to necessities like food and clean water. As violence escalates, thousands of civilians are fleeing their homes, seeking safety amidst a deepening humanitarian crisis. Recent Israeli airstrikes have targeted areas in northern Lebanon, raising concerns about the safety of United Nations peacekeepers operating in the region. Additionally, the U.S. State Department has raised its concerns with Israel regarding its offensive in Beirut. U.S. officials are calling for restraint, highlighting the importance of minimizing civilian casualties and ensuring humanitarian access. The international community continues to urgently call for a ceasefire and a sustainable resolution to the violence. As the situation continues to deteriorate, the global recognition of the need for humanitarian relief is more pressing than ever, with many calling for the rights of civilians to be upheld and for aid to reach those in desperate need. The world watches closely, hoping for a resolution that prioritizes peace and stability in the region and alleviates the suffering of those caught in the crossfire. The continued escalation of violence poses a significant threat to regional stability, while the international community remains vigilant in seeking solutions that protect the most vulnerable.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has announced a visit to Lebanon later this week. Speaking in the lower house of parliament, Meloni said she is expecting to be in Lebanon on Friday. She also said heeding Israel's unilateral demand for UN peacekeepers to be withdrawn from the country would be a grave mistake.
Ritengo che un ritiro sulla base di una richiesta unilaterale di Israele sarebbe un grave errore.
The UN Children's Agency has said more than 400,000 children in Lebanon have been displaced in the past 3 weeks, warning of a lost generation in the small country grappling with multiple crises, now gripped by the ravages of war. However, displaced children in Lebanon have found a place to regain some sense of normalcy during the conflict, drawing classes indoor and outdoor games are among the scenes seen in a shelter center in Lebanon's Shuf area. And now we move to the latest developments in Gaza. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has expressed that Israel can count on German solidarity now and in the future. Scholz added that Germany will continue to ship weapons to Israel and that there will be further shipments in the future. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says that the UK and France have called an urgent meeting at the UN Security Council to discuss the humanitarian situation in Gaza. The UK is reportedly considering sanctions on 2 Israeli ministers.
Really concerning activity in the West Bank, but also across the region. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire. The death toll.
An Israeli strike has struck a building in Gaza City that was sheltering a displaced family, killing 13 family members. 7 of the dead were removed and 6 are still buried under the rubble. People were seen digging through the debris by hand to get them out. Five Palestinians have been killed and others have been injured in an Israeli airstrike on al-Nasr to the west of the Gaza city. Local Palestinian media have reported that airstrikes bombed a house near the Italian tower in al-Nasr, which killed 5 citizens and injured others. UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini has stated that around 70% of the infrastructure in Gaza has been destroyed due to Israeli aggression. The commissioner added that 200 of UNRWA's staff have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. Lazzarini further stated that the majority of Gaza's population is crowded into an area that makes up no more than 10% of the entire territory of Gaza. Spain's Foreign Minister José Manuel Albares has stressed the need to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East. He reiterated Spain's demand for a ceasefire, the release of hostages, the entry of humanitarian aid and two-state solution, and the support for the UNRWA. World Bank President Ajay Banga has cautioned that the Israeli war on Gaza could have significant repercussions for the global economy. Banga estimated that the economic damage from Israeli strikes on Gaza has likely reached between $14 billion and $20 billion, with the destruction from airstrikes in southern Lebanon further contributing to the regional toll. The Lebanese Health Ministry reported that over the past year, at least 2,350 people have been killed in Lebanon and nearly 11,000 people have been injured, with more than 1.2 million people displaced. The World Bank has provided $300 million in assistance to the Palestinian Authority, but Banga indicated that more international funding is urgently needed to address this situation.
Is what the current one was, IDA 20, which is the contributions from the rich countries leveraged by our bond issuing system in the private.
Let's take a look at the developments in Africa with Mona Al-Misilhi in our newsroom. Over to you, Mona.
Thank you so much, Karim. And now we move on to the latest developments in Africa. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has appointed Hassan Mahmoud Rashad as the chief of Egypt's General Intelligence Service. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has also appointed Major General Abbas Kamel as advisor to the President, General Coordinator of the Security Services, and Special Envoy of the President. Nigeria's inflation rate increased in September for the first time in 3 months, reaching 32.7% on an annual basis. Analysts had previously warned that the slowdown in inflation during July and August may be temporary, especially following 3 petrol price hikes since early September. These increases have exacerbated the cost of living crisis that citizens have faced for a generation. The uptick in inflation now raises the possibility that the central bank may continue its rate hiking cycle, which has seen 5 increases so far this year. At least 147 people have been killed in Nigeria's northern state of Jigawa after a fuel tanker has overturned. The police and state emergency services said that the tank exploded after it overturned and spilled fuel. Head of the Jigawa State Emergency Services confirmed the death toll. A carcass from a juvenile humpback whale has washed ashore along Cape Town's coastline. The cause of the whale's death is unknown, but Cape Town's Coastal Management Authority has said it is uncommon for whales to wash ashore. Humpback whales are frequently spotted just off the Cape Coast between June and December as they migrate there seasonally to calve and rear their youngs. Well, that's all for our Africa Bulletin, and now we're back to Karim. Karim.
Thank you very much. That was Mona Al-Misilhi from our newsroom with more updates on Africa. Now let's take a look at the economy. Global stocks had a mixed performance today, with losses in Asia and Europe, while UK inflation reported its lowest level in more than 3 years. Early trading in the US saw the S&P 500 increase 0.2%, the Dow Jones Industrial Average trading 0.4% higher, and Nasdaq edging 0.1% higher. In Europe, Britain's FTSE 100 jumped 0.6%. In Paris, the CAC 40 lost 0.8%, while Germany's DAX slipped 0.1%. In Asian markets, Tokyo's Nikkei 225 index fell 1.8%. Seoul's Kospi lost 0.9%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng added 0.4%, while the Shanghai Composite Index edged 0.1% higher. And that's it for this news bulletin. Let's take a look at the headlines. An Israeli airstrike kills 3 people and injures 54 more in the southern Lebanese town of Qana. Israeli occupation forces state that a barrage of around 30 rockets were identified crossing from Lebanon. And the UNRWA Commissioner General says that around 70% of the infrastructure in Gaza has been destroyed due to Israeli aggression. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEGY to stay informed. For real-time updates, connect with us on the UMS digital platform. Watch it. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more updates on Q News.